The last church that I pastored, we were meeting in school auditoriums for probably the first 3 to 4 years of our existence. It was a new church, a church plant, and setting up and tearing down every single week was beginning to be a real challenge for our people. We begin to pray, God, where would you have us go? What do you want? And God led us to a church facility that was being sold, and we felt as that God was leading us to buy that church building. And we were a small congregation. We didn't have a lot of finance, but we felt led by God. And so we put earnest money down, and we begin to work and pray and see what God would do to bring the finances. And I remember it was on a Sunday morning. We were supposed to close escrow on the following Tuesday. And God had wonderfully blessed us, and we were able to have most of the funds, but we were still $25,000 short. And my board was saying, Pastor, what are we going to do? I've had a life experience of seeing how God has met needs. I have a confidence in God that if God calls you, God will provide. It's not because of what we do. It's not because of who we are. It's because of God's faithfulness. And God, if He calls us, God has the responsibility of fulfilling that calling. We have a responsibility of being obedient to God. And so in the Sunday morning service, I made a little statement about those who are visiting us for the first time. If you could just tune out for about 30 seconds, I need to talk to the congregation. And I shared briefly that God has led us to this point. We're planning on closing on Tuesday, but we still have a shortage. At the end of the service, there was a visitor who contributed, and he gave the check and the offering and earmarked it for the completion of the building. And at the end of the service, my treasurer runs up to me, and he hands me the check. And I said, what do you want me to do with this? He said, I want you to look at it. And it was exactly to the penny what we needed to close. I'm confident that when God calls us, God makes the way. It's not to say that I don't get anxious and nervous. It's not to say that I don't struggle sometimes thinking, well, what can we do next to make this happen? But there's a great freedom to know that we can be obedient to God in that which He has called us to, knowing that the responsibility of the fulfillment of that is God's. I want to live my life that way. I want to be able to live in that environment that it's not my vision, it's not my mission, it's God's vision, it's God's mission. And all God asks us to do is to be faithful and to trust, knowing that God knows exactly what we need. He knows exactly when it's needed by, and God is faithful. I pray you will have a blessed day.